Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Mr. Sitter Show with me, Locash, and I am so pumped to bring you today's episode, which is the last one before the upcoming World Cup. It's in 4 days, motherfuckers. By the time I drop this episode, it is in 4 days. My excitement level is through the roof. I am heavily caffeinated today. Because this is actually the second time I've tried to record this. I've had technical difficulties, which if you know me, not surprising in the least, but we're here and we're doing it. So, today I'm going to be going through a full World Cup preview for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. I'm sure you would have seen a few others, listened to a few others here and there around the traps if you give a fuck about the World Cup. But mine's going to be the best because mine's going to be the most accurate, and it's me, guys. It's me. How many other people have comedians on their podcasts chatting about football, let alone the person that does the podcast as a comedian? None. Zero. It's just this. So, you're welcome. Before we get into that, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to my partners, my collab for this World Cup. It is none other than False 9 Threads. That's what I'm wearing today. False 9 Threads. They're doing amazing work, bringing you apparel that is laced with iconic football moments. You get a little look here. This is Andrea Pirlo taking a free kick for Italy, who are not in this upcoming World Cup, but does not matter. They've got plenty of other iconic football moments. I've got the Aloisi scoring the goal to put the Socceroos in the 2006 World Cup final. I'll be wearing that in a couple of weeks. I've got an Alessandro Del Piero coming, where he's the scoring against Real Madrid. It's not just all guys with Italian surnames. Wait, I was going to say that there's one with Messi where he scored the goal in the Classico and he took the jersey off and he showed it to the faithful that had come to the game. But Messi does have an Italian surname too, so maybe it is just the guys with Italian surnames in these iconic moments. But either way, it's good shit. So get your hands on False 9 Threads for the World Cup, for just hanging out, for wanting to wear football apparel without being that douchebag wearing a Liverpool jersey at the pub. Total social faux pas. You can get this. It's all different colors as well. Get around False 9 Threads, guys. They're sick. They've hooked me up for this World Cup. Let's just do 2 or 3 quick minutes on what's been going on in domestic football in this last little period since I put one of these out. Obviously, we're going to start at Juve. Back, baby. I told you guys. The come-up is coming. Juve whipped Lazio 3-0, and it was the most comprehensive victory of the season for Juve. Totally outplayed them, and Lazio have been doing quite well this season, so it's a big scalp, and just playing really, really well. Probably the break has come around at the worst time, but we shall see. We shall see how it goes. My prediction is still that Juve are gonna catch Napoli, who are gonna have a quick tumble down the mountain. Juve are now up to third. We've leapfrogged Lazio. We are 2 points behind Milan and 10 points behind the aforementioned Napoli, who are about to careen down the hill in Serie A. Manchester City lost. Boo-hoo. Oh no. Perfect time for you guys to check out my roast of Pep Guardiola video, which is on TikTok, Instagram, or wherever you get your funnies. I just love that Ivan Toney scored the double to really shove it up Gareth Southgate. I know a lot of people that would love to shove it up Gareth Southgate, not in that way, in a nice, in a vitriolic, in a defiant way. We're going to defiantly shove it up Gareth Southgate. We're not going to enjoyably shove it up Gareth Southgate for not picking him. Liverpool defeated Southampton, which isn't a great accomplishment, but Liverpool of earlier in the season probably wouldn't have defeated Southampton, and this lends to my other prediction that Liverpool are going to come climbing up the Premier League and come fourth or third. They're definitely going to make the Champions League. This is something that I believe in. Long-time avid listener and my godbrother, Will Georgantis, has pointed out that I have not mentioned at any point in the last 2 episodes that the mighty Panathinaikos are 8 points clear in the Greek Super League. Oh, yes, baby. I was in Greece a couple of months ago, and, you know, I'm a blood Panathinaikos supporter, but they've been shit for a long time, so I've hidden my shame. And, man, like, everybody was talking about it when I was over there in Greece. Έχουμε Madara. And I'm like, all right, we'll see. But it turns out, έχουμε Madara. We've got quite the team this year. They're 8 points clear. And historically, whenever Panathinaikos has done well, Greece have also done well. So if there's Greeks listening to this podcast, which I assume there is, fuck yeah, guys. Fuck yeah. Unless, of course, you're an Olympiacos supporter, in which case, fuck you. Jesus. Red hot today, guys. Very caffeinated. Doesn't matter. The last thing, which is also quite red hot, that we're going to chat about is, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo, making the week all about him, even though he hasn't played for Manchester United for a beat. Having a 90-minute interview with Piers Morgan, which is the first time all season that he's gotten a full 90 in. Ha 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 ha. He's basically just come out and said that Manchester United have betrayed him, 2 or 3 people, including the coach, who has no respect for him. Therefore, he has no respect for him either. No evolution at Manchester United since Sir Alex Ferguson left. The gym, the chefs, the kitchens, all that shit hasn't changed. They appointed Ralph Ragnick, who wasn't even a coach, didn't even know who the fuck he was. Just a big red hot, I'll make the narrative about me before the World Cup because everybody wants Messi to win the World Cup, which is fair enough. But man, what a fucking egomaniac Cristiano Ronaldo is. It's getting to a point where I genuinely want this guy to retire. And I think, based on what we're going to chat about in a little bit, I think he probably will retire after this World Cup. But that's just my premonition. And we'll chat about Portugal and their chances in this World Cup when we do the preview, which is now. We're going to do the preview now. Fuck it. We've spoken enough about the garbage from the weekend. Who cares? I am so fucking excited for this World Cup, guys. And I don't even think the football is going to be good. I don't even think there's going to be that high quality of matches. I'm just pumped because I know some weird shit's going to happen. And not just because of all the yucky stuff that's been going on around this World Cup. Because there has been a lot of yucky stuff. And we're going to go through it really quickly now. Before we talk about the football and I make my predictions, because you got to know about it. If you're sticking your head in the sand, you're like, I don't care about that political, I don't care about the ideological shit. No, grow up. All right, we're living in a world, and you're presumably an adult if you're listening to this. Any children? Don't tell your parents what I'm saying. Regardless, the migrant workers. Qatar have brought in a great deal of migrant workers in need of work to build the infrastructure for this World Cup. But what it has amounted to is essentially modern-day slavery. This happens in many, many countries. What's happened is they brought these migrant workers in, these employment agencies that have tasked with building the stadiums and the roads and blah, blah, blah. And what they do is they seize the passports of the migrant workers. They tell them, you owe us X amount for flying you out here, and X amount needs to be paid back before you get your passport back. And of course, we're going to pay you peanuts and set you up living in squalor and trap you in horrible working conditions. Many people have died. It's very, very bad. And it just kind of goes to add to the general human rights bullshit that happens in this country, not least of which is, of course, their stance against homosexuality and general LGBT rights, which, hey, you might not care about, but you need to understand the ethos of football and the core message of what FIFA, the most corrupt organization on the fucking planet, stands for. It's within their charter. It's within their very bylaws that inclusivity is paramount when it comes to football. Everybody, irrespective of race, gender, sexual orientation, creed, color, what kind of shoelaces they wear, whether they're a Nike or a Puma guy when it comes to shin guards, whatever the fuck it may be. If you're a person living and breathing on this planet, football is entitled to you, and yet they are hosting the World Cup in a country in which it is flat out illegal to be gay. People have served up to 7 years in prison before, and this is a big issue because there's a lot of LGBTQ plus fans of football that would love to go and to see the World Cup. It's not just for your nonno, bro. It's for everybody. And they want to go and see the World Cup, and they're afraid that they might be persecuted if they go to see this World Cup, which is a very, very bad thing. Do you understand? I mean, there's one thing to not be able to sink beers if you're in a Muslim country. It's quite another thing to fear proper persecution because of who you are as a person. And so FIFA's kind of ignorance or not caring about this in accepting the bid to have Qatar as the host of this World Cup, not good. Not good at all, and I'm sure the anvil will drop at some point. However, they've come out and they've written a very heartfelt letter for us, the fans, to, quote, not allow football to be dragged into every ideological or political battle that exists. I don't really think that's a problem, guys. I don't really think that that they're dragging football into the voice of Australia, trying to get an Indigenous representation in Parliament. They're like, well, has anybody thought about soccer? That's not really what's going on here, guys. And I should think that just generally caring about human rights is something that you want for the biggest and in fact, the only football organization at an international level. So not a good look for Gianni Infantino and his team. And I'm hoping that there is some kind of retribution, because there's more issues involved with this that kind of make you very sus on FIFA as an institution. Infrastructural issues are one thing, but that happens with every World Cup. But the costs, man, 138 billion pounds have been spent already on this World Cup, 60 times more than what was spent in South Africa in 2010. Like, what's going on? A lot of people have decided to boycott this World Cup. I think that's silly. And I think that's kind of disrespectful to a thing that not a lot of people have considered. And that's the fact that Qatar is a nation like any. It's not just full of evil oil baron sheiks just laughing in the big pools of their money. There's good people there. There's good people everywhere. There's history in this nation. There's traditions. There's good, hardworking, not well off people that are excited that the World Cup is finally coming to the Middle East, that it's finally coming to Qatar, and that is the ethos of the World Cup. It's for everybody, and let's just hope that somehow those people are vindicated and all of the bullshit doesn't tarnish what is supposed to be just the ultimate bread breaker around the world. The football, but also the World Cup. 5 billion people are slated to watch this World Cup. That's how many people are projected to be about to watch this one. That's over half the population of the entire world, guys. That's huge. The World Cup is amazing. It's the best thing ever. And, I just really hope that all of this doesn't tarnish it. And that we can enjoy the football. Because I'm not FIFA. I'm not a FIFA executive. Maybe I will be one day, guys. Leave a message in the comment if you want me to be a FIFA executive one day. Maybe I will be. It'll be a sad day for FIFA if I ever am. Regardless, I'm not. I'm a guy who chats about football and then gets on stage and talks about how he doesn't know why Peter Dutton looks like a volleyball. That's one of my new jokes. It's pretty good, actually. So I'm going to focus on the football. I'm going to do exactly what Gianni Infantino wants me to do, and I'm going to focus on the football. And so, without further yappity yap, let's get on to these World Cup predictions. Now, I should say that I've done maybe about 7 World Cup simulations, and it's been different every single time. It's been the same winner every single time, but it's been different every single time, and I will probably change my mind on a couple of things within the next 4 days, pending injuries and different things that might transpire. But for now, 4 days out, this is how I see the group phase going down. Starting with Group A. Netherlands, Senegal, Qatar, and Ecuador. About a year ago, when Senegal won the African Cup of Nations, I was gung-ho. These guys are going to make a massive dent in this World Cup. And I'm sad to say, a year on, I don't think they're going to do very well at all. In fact, I don't think any of the African teams are going to come away from this World Cup looking very good. They are desperately shorthanded with Sadio Mane, their leader, their spirit, their best player, injured. He may make the third game, but by then I fear it will be way too late for Senegal to make it through. Their other stalwarts, the likes of Edouard Mendy, Kalidou Koulibaly, all out of form playing for Chelsea, and then they're relying on Ismail Assar, who's still at Watford. Don't think it's going to go for them. I see Ecuador going through. Ecuador still led by Enner Valencia. You guys remember Enner Valencia? He used to play for West Ham. Quality striker on his day. They've also got the likes of Moises Caicedo, excellent young midfielder for Brighton. His Brighton teammate Estupinian, Hincapie, the centre-back for Bayer Leverkusen. They have a lot of decent players at the moment. And of course, Ecuador are one of those countries who always come into the World Cup and do well on the strength of the collective. They did well in 2006, they did well in 2010. And the thing that I like most about Ecuador is it's not like one of those not Argentina and Brazil countries in South America that occasionally will produce like a handful of excellent players, like Chile, Colombia, Uruguay a little bit more often, Paraguay. They don't ever have clumps of like one or two world-class players. They just always have a good squad, a good, hard-working, hard-to-play against team. And I think with some of these guys, they're going to do well. They're going to do well, not as well as the Netherlands. The Netherlands are going to win this group, I think, quite handily. I watched them play against Poland in the Euro, the Nations League a little while ago, and they looked fucking slick, man. There was this one goal I think was finished off by Cody Gakpo. They came down the right-hand side. It was like a 1-2-3. It's all about the movement of the third guy off the ball. It's beautiful to watch. They're coming in with a stacked squad, top to bottom. Even their defense, which has historically been the Netherlands' Achilles heel. You got Timber, you got De Ligt, you got De Vrij, you got Virgil van Dijk. All of those guys are sitting in front of my nonno, Remco Pasveer, whose story is incredible. I'm sure you guys would be around it by now. But Pasveer came into Ajax 2 years ago as the third choice keeper, never played for the Netherlands in his life. He's 38 years old. He's got a grey man bun. He made his way all the way up to being the first keeper at Ajax, and now he is the starting goalkeeper for the Netherlands. He's a legend. I am very happy for him, but he will probably be the Netherlands' Achilles heel later on in the tournament, but not enough that they don't make it through this group because Qatar ain't going to be good enough. Qatar recently lost to Canada and the under-23 Croatia team, despite being the Asian champions of 2019. They're not good. They're not going to be good. They have a whole bunch of nationalized players that I don't know if they've even been to Qatar. Some of these Brazilians and Argentinians that they've put in their team, and they're like, yeah, they're Qatari, but they're still not going to be good enough because they're in a pretty tough group. That first game against Ecuador will be crucial. If they can get any kind of result in that game, maybe, but I don't see it happening. And so, yeah, I expect Netherlands to sweep this group and for Ecuador to follow them into the round of 16. Group B! Group B! There is, of course, England, USA, Wales, and Iran. England should see this one through. The quality of their squad is way, way better than the rest of them. But because they've got Gareth Southgate, who is just way, way, way out of his depth at this level, that they are going to struggle. They're going to win all three games, but they're going to struggle badly to beat all three teams, especially Wales, who will be really, really up to beat England for obvious reasons. And, of course, their biggest challenge in this group, which will be their first game against Iran. That's right. Iran. Iran will come second in this group. I think this is going to be the World Cup of the Asian teams, and Iran are very, very strong. Iran have got Azmoun, who is a very, very good player, and of course, generally, the nation currently is going through somewhat of a cultural revolution, and I think the team will be buoyed by the situation regarding these women's protests against the government and against the discrimination against women historically and currently in Iran. All of the players, or at least most of them, I know Azmoun definitely did show support for this cause on their Instagram, so they're fired up, and I think being so close to home, Qatar, Iran, I back them. I think they're going to go through second with England because USA are shit. USA are shit. They've got heaps of issues. They've lost games. They drew recently against El Salvador. They lost to Costa Rica recently. And Greg Berhalter doesn't seem to be a good coach, in my opinion. They keep heralding this golden generation. What fucking golden generation, man? You are talking about a group of players that are pure hype. Ridiculously overrated. Gio Reyna, like the look of him, always injured. Pulisic, injured a lot of the time. Not consistent enough, overrated. Like his ceiling is not where people think his ceiling is. The likes of Tyler Adams, Aronson, they're all okay, but not enough to make any kind of dent the way the US want them to. Serginho Dest is probably the most overrated player I've ever seen. He's not even really American. How this guy has played for Milan, Barcelona, and Ajax is beyond me. But if he's their starting right back, best of fucking luck to the US. And then finally, we got the reliant in midfield on Weston McKennie, who I know very, very well, as you can imagine. The guy's injured right now, and even when he's fully fit, he can do three things, okay? He can win back the ball, he can make good runs into the box, and he can score headers. That's about it. At this top level, he's going to get found out. They're all going to get found out, and USA are going to come bottom of this group. Just narrowly behind Wales, who will be good, but not good enough. They're a team reliant on has-beens, the likes of Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, Joe Allen. These guys are well past it, and the young crop, not quite good enough. I like Kiefer Moore. I like him. He's a big, strapping young lad, but he is not the quality that's going to take down a very game Iran team and England. So let's move on. It's going to be Iran and England in reverse order. It's going to be England first, then Iran. Going through Group B. Going through Group C, we've got Argentina, Mexico, Poland, and Saudi Arabia. This is going to be a fun group, I think, because Argentina are going to be a fun team to watch. Argentina are the team that most fans have predicted are going to win this World Cup. Not the bookies. The fans have predicted that Argentina are going to win this World Cup, and I think it's a big sentimental pick because everybody wants Lionel Messi to win, not least because Ronaldo has been a cockhead once again recently. Team Messi all the way. Me too. I hope they win. They're not going to win, but they are going to make a good run, starting by whipping every single fucking team in this group. It's going to be another sweep for these guys. They're going to win every single game. Their starting 11 is very good. There are holes, as far as I see, but their spine is very, very good. With Emi Martinez, very good goalkeeper. Lisandro Martinez next to Christian Romero at centre-back. Strong pairing. They've got Rodrigo de Paul. Paredes, who is a decent player. I think he's mildly overrated, but he's a decent player. You're going to have Messi occupying that playmaker role, and then you've got Lautaro up front, who is a very, very, very good player. Anybody that doesn't watch Italian football may not know, but he's top quality, and I think he's going to score a lot of goals, and Messi's going to lay him on a platter for him. They're going to take down every single team in this group. They don't have a lot of depth, Argentina. So then they cop one or two injuries. They could be reliant on a few players that aren't tested on this level, like Alexis McAllister from Brighton, very good player, but he's not played at this height just yet. You know, he may well. He's a good player, but we'll see what happens with their injuries and how well they go. The other three teams are pretty well matched on paper, but I think it's going to be pretty easy to call because Mexico come in with pretty bad form, and other than Chucky Lozano, who's doing pretty well for Napoli, none of their players really stick out for me. Ochoa, probably his last World Cup, being on steroids, turning into Superman the way he does every single time. I don't think Mexico are going to do well. I think Poland are finally going to do some damage at a tournament. Something's got to give. They've got really good players. They've got one of the world's best players. I think Lewandowski is going to score a buttload of goals in this group stage. And there's other players that are in extremely good form at the moment. Juve's Milik and Szczesny are both playing very well. Napoli's Zielinski, another one, on fire. Scored a beautiful goal against Udinese this last weekend. And I think against Saudi Arabia and Mexico, they'll be fine. And they'll go down to Argentina. And the Saudis, I think they could get a draw out of Mexico in the final game, which would ultimately send Poland through. But beyond that, no love for the Saudis, unfortunately. Saudi Arabia are another one of those countries with a little bit of a questionable human rights record. A little bit of a hard country to get behind, I would say, but I'm going to leave it at that. You never know who's watching this shit. Group D! Group D's the one we that are living on this little big rock down here in the south that are going to be waking up fucking very early in the morning to watch these games. It's the one we give a fuck about. It's the one the Socceroos are in. And they're in there with France, Tunisia, and Denmark. And it ain't going to be fun for our boys, guys. I know we all want to be optimistic. We all want to be realistic, though. It's not going to be fun for the Socceroos, I'm afraid. We're going to have a very unhappy return. We're going to quit ourselves well. We're going to fight, and we're probably going to score a couple of goals, which we're all going to be very excited about, but it's going to be at least 3-0 to France in the opening game. France, the tales of their demise have been very, very prematurely told, just because they don't have Paul Pogba, who hasn't really been good for a very long time, guys, and N'Golo Kante, who hasn't been fit for a very long time, guys. Doesn't mean shit. All it means is there's an opportunity for the likes of Tchouaméni, the likes of Kamavinga, the likes of Nkunku to step up and help out the fucking Ballon d'Or winner, Karim Benzema, Mbappe, just a ridiculously stacked team that they already have. And the third component of that midfield is still there and is somehow playing the best season that I've ever seen, and that's Adrien Rabiot. I don't know if you guys have gotten around Adrien Rabiot this season, but he is playing like a monster. A goal or an assist or both in every single game for Juve. He's a leader. The guy never gets injured. He's big. He's strong. He's skillful. He'll do some damage in this World Cup. You guys aren't ready for Adrien Rabiot at this World Cup. The only competition I really see for France in this group is Denmark. They're well drilled. They've got good players. They're still living on that high that the recovery of Christian Eriksen, easily their best player, has given them. But they could stumble against Tunisia, who are very strong. Tunisia actually come into this tournament in very good form. They were thumped recently by Brazil, but they recently also beat Japan and Chile, which is no small feat at all. So that opening game, Tunisia-Denmark, is really going to set the tone. I think whoever gets a good result out of that will probably make it through, because both teams are going to beat Australia. A lot of people, a lot of Aussies that I've spoken to are like, oh, well obviously, we're not going to be able to beat Denmark or France, but we're looking at that Tunisia game. Not looking at shit, man. Tunisia are going to fucking whip Australia. Tunisia are very good. And I think of all the African nations, minus the one that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, they have the best chance. So let's go with France and Denmark to go through that group. Now, so far, I've picked with the grain. And I know you're like, the Mr. Sitter podcast, Anthony Lacascio, comedian. We're here to listen to you do the hot takes. So I apologize for picking safely thus far, but that's all coming to an abrupt end right now with Group E. Spain, Germany, Japan, and Costa Rica. This group is going to see the first major shock of the tournament because, guys, Spain not getting through. Yep, not getting through the group. Spain have got a lack of clinical edge. When you watch them play, it's just so much farting around. They have no clinical number 9. It's not Morata. It's not Moreno. It's not Ferran Torres. These guys just can't cut the mustard, and it's a shame because as a nation, they're probably one of the most stacked countries in terms of how many teams they could theoretically produce, which is why Enrique produced a provisional list of 784,000 players. They've possibly got the best midfield in the tournament with the likes of Rodri and Gavi and Pedri, and of course Busquets is still there, but they got issues in defense. Their fullbacks are all old, whether it's Carvajal or Azpilicueta that plays on the right, Jordi Alba play on the left. And then in the middle, you got Laporte, excellent player, but who's going to play next to him? Is it Pau Torres, who's also an excellent player, but also left-footed, imbalanced, or is it Eric Garcia, who sucks? Their players are either too old or too young at this level, and I think they are going to go into this, having made the semi-finals of the Euros, pretty happy. They will be strong, but they're going to lose a very key game. And not only are they going to lose to Germany, who are much, much better and much more solid under Hansi Flick than they were recently under Joachim Löw, they also don't have a recognized number 9 who is reliable, but I can see Timo Werner actually stepping up, and I can see Gnabry and the likes of Muller and these guys getting goals. And most importantly, Jamal Musiala is going to tear this World Cup apart. He is going to take away that Young Player of the Tournament award, and Jamal Musiala is almost single-handedly going to propel Germany through the group. They're going to beat Spain, and they're going to go through the group along with Japan. Japan have been in red-hot form. They've beaten the USA, South Korea, Ghana, Paraguay, and Australia this year, and they only went down 1-0 to the mighty Brazil. They've got some fantastic players. I can't stop raving about how good Takehiro Tomiyasu is. They've got Minamino and Kamada. Minamino, obviously, formerly of Liverpool, and Kamada, who plays for Eintracht Frankfurt, won the Europa League last year. And then, of course, there's this Mitoma character who turned up out of nowhere. Well, wasn't out of nowhere, it was out of the J-League. But he turned up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, he's Brighton and Hove Albion's best player. Man, no wonder Chelsea want to just steal all of the scouting department from Brighton and Hove, because their scouting is fucking ridiculous. They just pluck these amazing players out of nowhere. Also, how fucked is Chelsea? Like, I'm so happy that I'm just not a Chelsea supporter anymore. I've abandoned them, and you don't want to develop your own thing. You want to just steal an entire staff from a smaller club that's done well. Fuck you, Chelsea. Don't like you. But I like Mitoma and I like Japan so much. These are serious players. They're always a serious, energetic team, and the Asian nations are going to do well. Costa Rica are always going to be a tough nut to crack, especially with Keylor Navas still kicking ass as goalkeeper. But they generally only play against weak sides. Like, they play Martinique every second fucking game. They lost recently to Panama. This isn't the Costa Rica side that did very, very well 2 World Cups ago. They're going to be the whipping boys of this group. And then Japan, in the final game of the group, are going to beat Spain and go through the next round with Germany. Who's next? Group F. Another red-hot call from me coming, boys and girls. Buckle up. Croatia, Belgium, Morocco, and Canada. Super duper fucking exciting group, by the way. Very, very interested in this group. Morocco are, as far as I can see, in terms of personnel, the strongest African side in terms of personnel. They've got Bunu, who was, I think he still is, the starting goalkeeper for Sevilla. Mazraoui plays for Bayern Munich. Hakimi, obviously, with PSG. Amrabat, super energetic, robust midfielder for Fiorentina. Hakim Ziyech, world class on his day. El Nesri, also Sevilla. Very, very good players. They don't have the best form coming in, but they have a good team, and I think they're going to beat Croatia in their opening game. Croatia are a spent force, guys. Unfortunately, they're going to be the ones suffering the World Cup hangover. It's not going to be France, who won the last World Cup. It's going to be Croatia, who copped that curse. They're not going to make it through this group. Their defense is nothing without Josko Gvardiol. Livakovic is a decent keeper behind them, but they're still reliant on the old guard. They're still reliant on Brozovic, Rebic, Perisic, and of course Modric. And without the quality and the young blood, they're just not going to do it. They're not going to make it through this group. Belgium are going to do a clean sweep, I think. They're going to beat all the teams. De Bruyne is in red hot form at the moment. They've got enough quality top to bottom, and Martinez has been there long enough that he knows how to navigate these World Cup, these tournament group stages. Belgium are going to just be just fine. And Canada are the team that I'm probably most interested in this group. They've got Alphonso Davies, obviously, Jonathan David, who plays for Lille, and I think they're going to be that plucky underdog team coming into the World Cup for the first time, who wins the hearts of every single fan, the neutrals. They do well, but they still don't make it out of the group. I think that they're going to score against Belgium first in their opening game, scare the fuck out of Belgium, and then ultimately lose like 3-1 to Belgium. They're going to put up a fight, but ultimately lose to Croatia. And then I think they're going to beat Morocco in the third game, but only narrowly. And then all 3 of the other teams that are not Belgium are going to be on 3 points. And Morocco will go through on goal difference. That's how I see this group playing out. We'll see if I'm right. Group G, second last group. This is where the magic happens, because the magic is Brazil, and they are in there with Switzerland, Serbia, and Cameroon. Let's chat about Brazil. Brazil are going to win the whole fucking thing. We all know it. I know it, you know it, everyone knows it. They're just too good. Top to bottom, they have at least 2 strong players in every position other than left back, which is their Achilles heel. I can tell you firsthand. Alexandro, not the player that he used to be. Alex Telles, anybody that's watched the Premier League will know he's not a really good player either. But otherwise, whether they play Marquinhos, Thiago Silva, Eder Militao, or Bremer at centre-back, they're going to be backed up by Danilo, who's a very, very good right-back. Alisson or Ederson can play goalkeeper, and then, Casemiro, Bruno Guimaraes, Neymar, you know the rest, guys. You know how talented these guys are. They're in great form. They've been flogging everybody over the last 2 years. They're hungry because they lost, probably undeservedly, to Argentina in the Copa America final. They haven't won a World Cup for 20 years. This is going to be theirs. And they're going to fuck everybody in this group, but they're not going to fuck Serbia. They're going to beat Serbia just in the opening game, and the Serbs are going to announce themselves. The Serbs are going to announce themselves as the team to go through second, ahead of Switzerland. See, Switzerland, other than Jan Sommer, who I love, no world-class players, but that's usually how it goes, right? With the Swiss, they somehow always manage to make it through the group stage, strength of the collective, similar to Ecuador, but this time they won't, because they're going to easily beat Cameroon in the first game. Cameroon, one of the weakest sides in the competition. They came into the tournament with very, very bad form. They don't have a good collective. They've got a few okay players, most of whom I think are quite overrated, like Onana, the goalkeeper for Inter. He plays half the games. Choupo-Moting is killing it at the moment for Bayern Munich, but he's not a leader. Mbeumo for Brentford, decent. Anguissa is a really, really good player for Napoli, but again, outside of that Napoli bubble, I don't know if he's going to be able to come up with all the magic on his own. Probably not. So I think they're going to be the whipping boys, and they're probably going to be one of the worst performing countries in this World Cup. So the Swiss will beat them, and the Swiss will think, okay, 3 points. All we have to do is get a result against Serbia, and we'll be fine. And then Serbia are going to obliterate Cameroon. Serbia are going to make a real statement in the second game. They're going to obliterate Cameroon, and I got to say, Serbia are my team in this World Cup. I'm behind Serbia. I fucking love them. They're my dark horse. They disappointed in the last World Cup. They barnstormed their way into the last World Cup. They barnstormed their way into this World Cup, beating Portugal to qualify automatically, and they have quality top to fucking bottom. They've called up no fewer than 11 Serie A players. They are too underfancied for my value. 80-1 to win the World Cup. I might chuck a cheeky 50 on that, even though I've never bet on sport in my entire life. I believe in Serbia that much. I believe in Serbia enough to download Sportsbet. You understand? They've got Kostic killing it for Juve at the moment. Milenkovic and Jovic doing very well at Fiorentina. Very, very solid players. And then, of course, the big guns from Serie A. Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, one of the best midfielders in the world on his day. This could be his tournament. Adrian Rabiot made him look like a little bitch yesterday against Lazio, but that's neither here nor there. He'll be great for Serbia, along with Vlahovic, one of my favorite players in the world. Obviously, very biased, but he's very, very good. He's very, very young, and he's coming in injured. So, unfortunately, I think we're able to rely on him up top. But thankfully, they have Alexander Mitrovic, who's absolutely murdering it in the Premier League. And, of course, Dusan Tadic, who everyone remembers is the captain of Ajax and a very, very versatile, very skillful player. They're coming in red-hot form as well. They've recently beaten Sweden twice. They beat Norway. They beat Slovenia. They beat Hungary, who are no longer a fucking easy beat. And, of course, they beat, once again, Portugal to get into this World Cup. So I think Brazil will fuck the Swiss in the second game, and then it's all going to come down to Switzerland versus Serbia in the last game. Even a draw, I think, will see Serbia through, because I think Serbia are going to smash Cameroon more than Switzerland did, and Serbia are going to lose to Brazil by less than Switzerland did, but I also think Serbia are going to beat them and just go through outright. So it's going to be Brazil, Serbia to go through that group, and then finally, Group H, relatively interesting too. We got Portugal, we got Uruguay, we got Ghana, and we got South Korea. Portugal, player for player, best squad in the World Cup. I don't care what anybody says. It's ridiculous. They could probably field 3 different teams that could make a hash of winning the entire World Cup. It's ridiculous. They have the best depth in the World Cup, but I see them having 3 major things going against them. I don't think they're going to do very well in this World Cup, but they will make it through this group first. So the biggest weakness is Fernando Santos. Yes, he won the Euro with Portugal, but we know that they fluked it and they did it off the back of Cristiano Ronaldo. He has no tactics. His tactics are defend. He plays a Legri ball. He's like Didier Deschamps. Let's defend, and then let's just throw the ball forward and wait for our megastars to do anything. And at this level, it's not going to fucking cut it. So that's one of their biggest issues. Another big issue is they have no real partner for Ruben Dias. One of the best centre-backs in the world, obviously, but it's probably going to be Pepe, who's 170 years old, playing next to him. That's going to be a giant, glaring weak spot for them, and I think if teams attack them through the middle, put pressure on Ruben Dias and whoever plays next to him, Pepe, of course, very prone for the Reds. I think that's going to be an Achilles heel for them. And, of course, there is Cristiano Ronaldo's fragile mental state. Of course, the issues that he's having at United at the moment. No bueno, my friend. No bueno. No factos. And I think he's going to be a big headache for Portugal. I think his ego is going to consume them. I think they're not going to have a good team spirit. And I think they're going to get through this group because it isn't too tough to navigate. But beyond that, it's not going to go well. And you're going to see Cristiano Ronaldo retire from Portugal. And you may see him retire from football altogether, because I don't know what club he's going to go to, because Manchester United is certainly going to give him the boot in January. But for this World Cup, let's just say that he is going to be a problem for them. He may score a couple of goals in the group stage, but their best starting 11 doesn't have him in it. So they're gonna be playing like every other team that's had Cristiano Ronaldo in the last 5 years. It's gonna be 9 players plus a goalkeeper plus a bazooka that if another player can have the energy to pick up and fire at goal, it's in. But like the bazooka doesn't run, so they will win the group. Because Uruguay are not what they once were, but they're still pretty good. In Fede Valverde, they have one of the best players going at the moment. He's exceptional. They've got a good supporting cast with Torreira and Bentancur, Darwin Nunez. Luis Suarez is playing as well. He's probably going to be good for one dickhead moment at this World Cup, and we will remember him as we always remember him at World Cups. Just being a fucking lunatic, man. Uruguay will be good enough to get through this, but only because the other two teams, I don't really see them having enough quality. South Korea, they're coming in with good form, but they will probably lose to Uruguay in their opening game, and they won't beat Portugal, but they will beat Ghana. Ghana, I think, are going to be the worst team in this World Cup. They limped into it. They beat Nicaragua recently, but that's about it. They were thumped by both Brazil and Japan recently, and I fear the continent's best ever World Cup performers are going to be this tournament's biggest whipping boys. You know, gone are the days of Asamoah Gyan, Michael Essien, Muntari, Stefan Apia. They don't have those kind of players anymore. They've got Thomas Partey, who's pretty good on his day, but he's got no supporting cast. Kudus looks like a decent player for Ajax, but he's extremely raw. So it is going to be Uruguay going through with Portugal to the round of 16. So, that brings us to the round of 16. Some mouth-watering clashes here, but it's all like there's a clear favorite in every single game. I don't think the clear favorite is going to win every single game, though. So if I'm right, which obviously I'm not going to be totally right, but, you know, more or less, it's going to be Netherlands, Iran, Argentina, Denmark, England, Ecuador, France, Poland, Germany, Morocco, Brazil, Uruguay, Belgium, Japan, and Serbia, Portugal. Now, the gap in overall quality between most of these teams, plus the momentum that they'll have carried through from sweeping their groups, should see most of the favourites do it here. I think the Netherlands will easily get past Iran. I think France will easily beat Poland. I think Germany should beat Morocco quite handily. And, of course, Brazil will be comfortable against Uruguay. And then Argentina are going to have a stiff test against Denmark, but they will ultimately be too strong. England, you know, are going to struggle in a repeat of the 2006 2006 round of 16 game against Ecuador. They'll probably beat them on penalties, but they will see themselves past Ecuador. And in the last two games, I see a massive upset coming in both of them. I think Belgium are going to be thrilled that they got Japan. They're going to think, thank God, you know, we didn't get one of these European heavyweights or one of these South American giants, and they are going to regret being that thrilled badly. Japan are going to make them pay for it. Japan are going to have so much energy and so much hustle. I can see that game ending like 3-4 to Japan, and Japan are going to go through, and for the first time in their history, they're going to make the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Big day for Japan. Big day for Serbia, who are going to make a massive statement again and knock out Portugal. Portugal are going to be looking forward to playing against Serbia, who upset them to enter the World Cup ahead of them, meaning that Portugal had to go through the knockouts to get there. But Portugal are not good at getting revenge because they lost to Greece in the opening game on home soil in the 2004 Euro. They made it all the way to the final and they fucking lost to Greece again. And the same thing is going to happen to my Orthodox buddies in Serbia. They're going to do it, and Serbia are going to knock out Portugal, and that's going to be a pure Cristiano Ronaldo meltdown. And so that leads us to the quarterfinals, which we'll see Netherlands, Argentina, Brazil, Germany, England, France, and Japan, Serbia. Mouth-watering. Three absolute super heavyweight smash battles, and Japan versus Serbia, which is always great. It's so great in these tournaments when two under-fancy sides meet in a ladder stage game. That means one of these two teams is going to the semi-finals, and once you make the semi-finals, anything can fucking happen. Mouth-watering, guys. Argentina are going to beat Netherlands. Germany are not going to be able to beat Brazil. Brazil are going to march on. France are going to overcome their historic rivals, England, obviously, and then Serbia are finally going to halt the march of the Japanese, and it's going to be the semi-final clash between the South American giants, the rerun of the last Copa America final, Argentina versus Brazil. Serbia will take on France. France are finally going to halt Serbia's progress. Serbia are going to have made it all the way to the semi-finals, and they're going to have acquitted themselves marvelously. They're going to be a team that the whole country can be proud of, and people will remember this Serbia team for a long time. And then Brazil are going to get one over on Messi's Argentina, and I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I don't think it's going to be close at all. So it will be a Brazil-France final. A lot of people have predicted this. It was going to be a repeat of the 1998 World Cup final, and it's going to have a different victor this time. It is going to be Brazil winning the World Cup. Pretty straightforward to call from the semis, but fun as fuck to call all the way up to there. Before we go, I think the player of the tournament is going to be Kylian Mbappe. I think he's going to take France on his shoulders, and they are going to make all the way to the final based on his performance alone. And I think the top scorer of the tournament is going to be Lautaro Martinez. I think he is going to be like the guy scoring all the goals for Argentina en route to them making the semis. Like I said, Musiala, young player of the tournament. And that's it. That's what I think is going to happen in the World Cup, guys. We'll see if I'm wrong. We'll see if I'm right. Follow along. Like I said to you guys, I'm watching every single fucking game. So watch along with me. I'm going to be doing these podcasts, 20 minutes. Not going to be this long. I'm going to be doing 20-minute little nibblies every day to let you know what happened. If you missed the action, I'm going to let you know what happened. Tell your friends to follow along, like, subscribe, watch this on YouTube, listen on Spotify, listen on iTunes, whatever you want to do. Look out for my little snippets. I'm going to be doing little comedy snippets based on football all throughout the World Cup. You're going to fucking love it, and you're going to fucking love this World Cup because it's going to be sick. It's going to be sick. It always is, and it's not going to be tarnished by any of this Qatari bullshit. This has been Mr. Sitter. I'm Anthony Locascio. Let's fucking get it. Play that theme music. If everything about me didn't give it away, I'm a soccer guy. I play against the computer only. Because if I lose and I throw a tantrum, the computer isn't going to send me messages all week calling me sad shit dick. Alright. But the higher teams are probably a little bit too advanced for the drills that I pinched off the FIFA loading screen.
Bro, Mo Salah is putting Egypt on the map.
You better start giving some energy and some love for Mr. Anthony Locascio!